President Biden, the democracy-loving people of Israel hear you loud and clear. To help everyone else understand, here are the top 10 reasons for not inviting Benjamin Netanyahu to the White House. Just before we begin, remember the old fable about the scorpion and the frog? Keep it in mind. The only thing Netanyahu wants out of an invitation to the White House is a picture of himself with President Biden dated 2023. Once he has that photo op, no matter what happens in the meeting, he'll flaunt the photo to the world and say, see, no problem whatsoever with the US. Just two vibrantly democratic best friends forever. With no restraining factor, Netanyahu will continue to charge ahead with his judicial coup, which he launched with the elimination of the Reasonableness Doctrine. Eliminating the Reasonableness Doctrine prevents the Supreme Court from canceling executive decisions that are extremely unreasonable. The Supreme Court has rarely intervened in government decisions on the basis of unreasonableness, and it has never used this doctrine to block any national program, be it economic, social, or defense related. When was it used? Well, in 2007, for example, the Supreme Court determined that the government's decision not to fully bomb shelter classrooms in towns surrounding Gaza within rocket range and often under fire on the basis of budgetary considerations exceeds the realm of reasonableness. So the government was made to bomb shelter all classrooms. So you see, really, you only want the Reasonableness Doctrine canceled if you know you're about to do something unreasonable. Revoking the doctrine grants immunity to grossly arbitrary, capricious, and corrupt executive decisions. Netanyahu will use this power. First, to fire the gatekeepers, such as the politically independent Attorney General, which he has already threatened to do. And then he will use this power to make unreasonable appointments. How would the U.S. respond if funding granted to Israel was managed by someone convicted of tax evasion and bribery? Well, Netanyahu plans to appoint as his next finance minister Aryeh Deri, leader of the ultra-Orthodox Shas party, and a man sent to prison for tax evasion and bribery while serving as a government minister. Is that reasonable? Once the courts are lined with extremist yes-men, Netanyahu will wiggle his way out of the criminal trial he's currently facing for bribery, fraud, and breach of trust by getting the new and subordinate Attorney General to dismiss the charges. With no restraining factor, Netanyahu will annex the West Bank and expand settlements. As his coalition and especially architects of the judicial coup, such as Yariv Levin, have explicitly stated as the coup's purpose. This expansion and annexation will kill any chance of a two-state solution and any hope of ever resolving the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Once the invitation re-legitimizes him, Netanyahu will turn around and claim that the Biden administration is anti-Israel. He will attack the Democratic Party, as he's done repeatedly throughout his history as prime minister. And he will support Donald Trump, openly and boldly. We know that President Biden and other leaders have known Netanyahu for a long time, but the Bibi of 20 years ago is long gone. The current Netanyahu is following the path of Hungary's Viktor Orban and Turkey's Erdogan. Remember the scorpion and the frog? If the White House helps Netanyahu cross the roaring river of the first real threat to his 15-year rule, he will sting. He will trample the U.S. and Israel's shared core values. He will crush our bond. When you ask him, but why? We gave you what you wanted. Why do you sting? Well, he'll look you right in the eye and lie to your face. But we all know how the fable ends. Why does Bibi sting? It's his nature. Netanyahu is not the first aspiring tyrant to be democratically elected and then attempt to gut democracy. There's no need to name the others, you know who they are. And sadly, Netanyahu will not be the last. He's just the one who will fail, because the democracy-loving people of Israel are giving him one hell of a fight. And after him, others will fail. So the number one reason for not inviting Benjamin Netanyahu to the White House is, if you legitimize one would-be tyrant, you legitimize them all. Stand with democracy in Israel. Stand with democracy everywhere. Don't meet Benjamin Netanyahu.